Welcome back to a brand new video. Today, we're going to be talking about Davis Mills and why I expect him to be a franchise quarterback this year for the Houston Texans. But before we hop into the content of today's video, if you guys are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and drop a like on the video if you guys do enjoy it. And with all that being said, let's hop into the video about Davis Mills and the Houston Texans. The Texans were perceived as one of the most dysfunctional organizations in football not too long ago. The whole Deshaun Watson saga, and the Texans were put in a pretty tough spot with the star quarterback. Now, I don't want to get too far into Watson in today's video. This is not about Watson, but it is worth mentioning why Mills is the starting quarterback now for the Texans and how it's kind of come about. After a year of sitting out and going through investigations, Watson finally was able to get traded from the Texans to the Cleveland Browns, and the Texans received 3 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and 2 fourth-round picks, and only gave up Watson and a 6th to recoup all of those assets. Now, this turned out to be a pretty good trade for the Texans. Now that they have a young quarterback who they drafted in the 3rd round in the 2021 NFL draft, they have a chance now to build around him and use those assets to put things around him, and that's what the Texans began doing in this year's draft. It is worth mentioning that even though Davis Mills was picked in the 3rd round, he was not a 3rd round talent in 2021. That was a stacked quarterback class as far as coming out of college, and we had Justin Fields, we had Trevor Lawrence, we had Zach Wilson, and even Mac Jones. All those players really highly touted coming out of their respective colleges. So Davis Mills kind of got pushed down the ladder a little bit, but he still had a lot of talent. He just didn't have a lot of playing time in college at Stanford. But he was a former 5-star recruit, and he was one of the top prospects in the country when entering into that college scene. I really do believe that if he returned and played his senior year at Stanford this past year, he would have been one of the top quarterbacks picked in what many consider to be one of the weaker quarterback classes we've ever seen in the NFL. I mean, Kenny Pickett was the first quarterback picked at number 20, and then there was another quarterback picked until the 2nd round. So it was a very weak quarterback class, and I really think Davis Mills would have been at least a 2nd round pick, probably a 1st round pick if he went back and at least played most of the season for Stanford. Now, he's really flown under the radar because, like I mentioned, the Texans were kind of perceived as one of the worst teams in football. So not many people paid attention to them, cared to know about their new rookie quarterback, but Davis Mills had a very strong rookie campaign, and probably the 2nd best if you go by the numbers out of any rookie quarterback of last year's class. I mean, if you look at Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, they all had negative touchdown to interception ratio, meaning that they threw more interceptions than touchdowns, and the 2 rookies that really stood out were Mac Jones and Davis Mills. Mills completed 67% of his passes for 2,600 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions, and when you're given the situation that he was put in Houston, and you're able to put up those numbers as a rookie who didn't even play that much in college, that's pretty impressive. And I think he's going to continue to build off of that as we go into this next season. And the Texans brought in a pretty good large sum of talent to help him out on the offensive side of the ball. The first pick in the draft this year was Derek Stingley. They needed a lot of help on defense as well. I think they still have quite a bit of holes on their defensive side of the ball, but they got a cornerstone piece in Derek Stingley at the number 3 pick. I thought they were going to go with Evan Neal or a tackle there, but I think Stingley, especially with their new defensive head coach in Lovie Smith, I think they really want to build their defense around Stingley, and he's one of the most talented players in this draft, so I can't really hate on the pick. And then their pick from the Browns that they got for trading Watson, they drafted Kenyon Green, an offensive guard from Texas A&M. They're going to plug him in at left guard right next to Laramie Tunsil, and now you have a very solid left side of the offensive line. Green will be an immediate starter for the Texans, and he will definitely help their 29 ranked offensive line from last year. And I think that would have been a little bit better if they had Laramie Tunsil, who's one of the better left tackles in the football. But Titus Howard was kind of a disaster at left guard, and I think they're going to move him to right tackle, see if he can be any better there. But Kenyon Green will definitely step in and provide some stability at that spot. And then one of my favorite picks in the entire draft was John Mechie in the 2nd round. I think getting him another receiver with a ton of potential would definitely bode well for him taking a next step this year. The Texans' number 1 wide receiver is Brandon Cooks, who is definitely one of the most underrated receivers in all of football. And they also drafted Nico Collins last year, who battled some injuries, but he's going to be coming back fully healthy next year. And I think that's a pretty nice receiving core if they can stay on the field. I know John Mechie's going to be coming back from an ACL injury, but if you have John Mechie in the slot and you have Brandon Cooks out wide with Nico Collins, I think that's a formidable wide receiver unit and definitely something that they can build on. And then in the backfield, the Texans really relied on Rex Burkhead last year, and I like Burkhead. I think that he's a versatile player. He can catch out of the backfield as well, but I do not think that he is a starting running back in the NFL. So I like their pickup of Dameon Pierce in the 4th round. He's not the fastest guy in the world, but he has some short range speed and he's tough to bring down. And I'm going to be really interested to see this young talent on the Texans offense next season. Now, the Texans did hire Lovie Smith as their next head coach, and I can't say I was super huge on this hiring. I think Lovie Smith is a good defensive coach, but as we've seen kind of recently in the NFL, it's really an offensive league, and I do not know how successful defensive coaches are going to be as we move forward. I think there's really only a handful of really good defensive coaches in the league. Bill Belichick, of course, one of the greatest coaches of all time, has a defensive background. Sean McDermott from Buffalo, he has a defensive background. And if you look at all the top teams in the NFL the last few years, it was usually an offensive coach leading at the helm. Andy Reid with the Chiefs, Sean McVay with the Rams, even Bruce Arians with the Buccaneers. They all really had offensive backgrounds. I'll be really interested to see how long Lovie Smith stays the coach for the Texans. They did move on from David Culley after 1 year, and it was reported that the Texans were really interested in Josh McCown to take over as the head coach, but they thought he was a little inexperienced so far to really take over. So they have him kind of working under Lovie Smith while he gains some of that coaching experience. So I think eventually Josh McCown may take over for Lovie Smith. I just do not know how long that is going to be. If it's going to be a year, a few years. I guess it really depends on how Lovie Smith can get this team motivated, what they're able to accomplish. But if I was a Texans fan, I would definitely keep an eye on that and be looking out to see how long Lovie Smith remains in Houston. I would like to add that the support Lovie Smith has had for Davis Mills going into this offseason has been pretty nice to see. It's always nice when you see some coaches supporting their quarterback. And he said about Mills, he's our quarterback. When you're the leader, you've got to be visible. It's been documented on what I think of Davis. I think he's going to be an excellent quarterback in the NFL for a lot of years. And John McClain, who is a Hall of Fame reporter for the Houston Texans, he's seen a lot of football over the years, and he said about Davis Mills, he looked so much more comfortable than this time last year. Appeared confident and in charge, a natural leader. The coaches expect big improvement from him. It seems like Davis Mills was impressing the media and whoever else was watching him so far in the practices we've gone through this summer. I think a big thing that a lot of people overshadow is the importance of Pep Hamilton. I think Pep Hamilton is one of the best assistant coaches as far as coaching quarterbacks in the NFL. It doesn't get much better than Hamilton, and I think he's done a great job with many quarterbacks. He helped Andrew Luck when he was a young quarterback. He even helped Justin Herbert, who many argue had the best rookie season out of any quarterback in NFL history. So the Texans did a great job getting him to work under David Culley. And now under Lovie Smith, he got promoted to offensive coordinator. And I think that is going to help Davis Mills even more as we enter year 2. The Chiefs' former general manager, Scott Pioli, said the other thing that I think that's really going to help him this year is Coach Pep Hamilton. Pep Hamilton is one of the most underrated good football coaches, really good assistants in the NFL. I think the idea that there's going to be continuity in him coaching him and him bringing him along, Pep Hamilton is going to have a big hand in Davis Mills becoming a better player this year, I think. So it's very apparent that he's one of the most respected coaches in the league, and I think it's only a matter of time before he starts getting some head coaching interviews because he's really moved up the ranks the last few years. I know he's been a quarterback coach for a few teams now, and now he's already an offensive coordinator. I think if he does a good job this year in Houston, he's going to be right on his way to an eventual head coaching job in the NFL. But I really do believe Davis Mills is going to take another step this year and be one of the most impressive year 2 quarterbacks of anybody we saw last year. He's got good arm strength, he's got all the measurables that you want in a quarterback, and now that the environment around him is improving, I expect him to improve and also take another step in his development, and I think he's really going to impress some people next year. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you guys are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and drop a like on the video if you guys did enjoy it. And let me know what you guys think of Davis Mills and if he's going to be a franchise quarterback in the NFL. And with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.